2. Hi, folks. You are watching and listening to a very special edition of Open Bar on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. I'm Mike Morales in Southern California. That gentleman out there is
Santiago.
Santiago. Last name?
Santiago Barreiro Pacheco.
Ay, Maria. Okay, that's all of it. Folks, Santiago is, we asked him on because he is the originator, creator, founder of Bruxo Mezcal. For those of you who may have seen this, it is I know when I found out about it several years ago, 8 years ago, maybe less than that. It was very popular in the UK. And I tried to get us samples because I had known about it. I wanted it. It came, for those of you who've never seen this line, this is a line that has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different expressions, and they're all beautiful. I'm telling you, as you can see, I've been hoarding some of this. Obviously it starts with the espadín, and then it expands from there. What I want to ask Santiago is, why did you go into mezcal? Because do you come from a spirits background, or?
No, the funny story, Mike, with me and the mezcal is that I am a cinematographer, by the way. I live from being a director of photography in TV shows and movies. So
have you done anything that we've seen?
I don't know, in Netflix. I don't know if there was one in Netflix called La Bella and las Bestias. Probably it will not be worldwide, but yeah, I have a couple.
If it's on Netflix, it's worldwide.
Yeah. Our Señor Acero, that it's a lot of action. I did the 5th and last season of Señor Acero.
Yes. I know someone very close to me who's seen all of the episodes. So you're an action cinematographer.
Yeah. And the funny story with mezcal is that when I said to my parents 25 years ago, 30 years ago, I want to be a cinematographer, I was in this generation that the parents said, man, you need to have a career first. It's like, no way you are going to do filmmaking. Because life, I said, okay, I have to go to the university. And the funny thing is I studied communication because at the end of the career, you can choose filmmaking. So I met my friend that actually is the founder with me of Bruxo, Luis Eduardo. And after 1 year of being in the university, I say to my parents, there's no way I'm going to stay in the university. I want to do filmmaking. If you don't want to support me, don't worry. So the only thing it stays in my life of the university was my friendship with Luis Eduardo. So the funny story is that probably 4 years later, I came back from studying outside. I met with Luis Eduardo. We hang out again, and he was like, we go partying. And then we drop the girlfriend, and then we go to my home. We keep partying. And suddenly he said, hey, I'm going to get married. I would love that you came to my bachelor's party. We are going with my friends to Oaxaca to find a mezcal for my wedding. And I answered him, there is no way I'm going to go to that trip because first, I already tried mezcal and it tastes like shit. Second, I don't know any of your friends. So for me, it's like, what I'm going to do there. And in that time, I used to have a Jean Paul, my dog, that he was always with me, like everybody. So I said, if I cannot go to the trip with Jean Paul, I will not go. So he said, of course, Jean Paul is going to come and you have to come to my wedding because I just make a tie for your dog for my wedding. He basically make a tie, and the invitation of the wedding says Jean Paul and Santiago. So he invited the dog first, then myself.
The dog gets the invite first.
Right. So I finished going with them to Oaxaca, and we leave on Thursday to Oaxaca. And in the afternoon of that Thursday, Mike, I was just like, like saying, this is mezcal. Like we start really traveling, meeting maestros, going deeply into the fields. So my dog was running in the agave fields. I was with half bottle of Tobalá inside of me. So I was like understanding so many things that it was like a crazy trip. But in the third day, I remember that after traveling, meeting maestros, because a friend of Luis had a friend in Oaxaca, so he take us to a really like deep, original maestros in the mountains. So by the third day, we go in these caves where you can see stalagmites and stalactites, you know?
Yes, yes.
So probably it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We already have mezcals, of course.
Yes.
And suddenly I remember that people say, hey, let's turn off our lanterns to see how the darkness feels, you know?
Oh, okay.
So we turn off the lights. And of course, in all these 3 days, having mezcal all day, meeting maestros mezcaleros, it was like this, I said, like enlightening like process of saying, like I understood for me what mezcal represents. I said, the deep Mexico is in mezcal, like the culture is mezcal. And for me, the friendship that is super important, because I believe the only things you can choose in life, it's your friends, your family.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
just your friends.
You can choose your friends. Yep.
So suddenly it was like my dog, my new friends. Right now, one of my best friends in life, I met them in that trip. So like for me, I understood what mezcal represents. And in that afternoon, we came out. I will send you later a picture, because I have the picture that I don't know who took it. That is the right moment. Someone take a picture. I am like under the rain in the sunset right that day. And that day I said, the world must know this culture of mezcal. We need to do something to spread like the understanding of this spirit. And from there, I said to Luis, because Luis in that time used to work in Diageo, I said, you know something about spirits? We have the passion, we need to start doing something. And from there, I start traveling myself to the mountains, asking people, hey, do you know where can I buy mezcal? Hey, do you know some maestros mezcaleros? I do like 2 different journeys from Oaxaca to the coast, just stopping wherever people say there were maestros, having samples, going back home, inviting the friends and family and saying, hey, I want to do a tasting. And the funny thing is that all of them always arrive with rum, vodka. Of course, they thought I was going to give them a little mezcal and then they will go back.
Right.
Because the idiosyncrasy 15 years ago with mezcal, it was that it's horrible.
Right, right.
The cool thing is that they never open the bottles. They bring it.
They wanted more of your mezcal, right?
Yeah, they want more mezcal. So that's why, that's how we really start Bruxo, and that's Bruxo number 1.
Yeah,
So
the
Espadín, because after 50 or 60 mezcals that I bring in the tasting, we decide to work with Lucio for many reasons, because of course the taste, the flavor that we like it,
right,
because we do this like good vibes between us. He have a son that it was really cool, because Lucio, that it passed away like 4 months ago. It's the first maestro mezcalero that passed away.
Yeah, I did hear about that, I think.
Right.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was sad. And he have a son who really started having internet. So in some way, we will be able to really work and have, for example, in that time, something that I have to say, and I don't know if they're going to tell me something, but there was a time that Bruxo was illegal. Why? Because 15 years ago or 12 years ago, the Comercam, it was not a really regulation thing, you know. Everything was like something really beautiful about mezcal in that time is that it's a spirit that all of the people that fall in love with mezcal in that time, we were around 30s. So like all of us, we start bringing like our different journeys, I will say. No, I fall in love for one reason, probably Union, the owners of Union for one reason, Mano Negra, Marca Negra, for one reason. And in that time, all of us, always like finishing together in the fairs, for example,
Right.
because we were like starting with this thing, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Everything was like trying to be in place. So I remember at the beginning, it was like, so we like Mezcal. To get into the CRM, it was like complicated. So we start selling it, and I remember like there is one time that say, hey, the CRM is in this bar, and they say that Bruxo doesn't have a label. So it's like, what do we do? Because we have to start to do everything to be in the norm. But all the brands start like in the clandestine.
Yeah.
It was not that we are not in norms, you know, but it was that to have it, like you start experimenting things, like I think like the most of the big projects right now, it starts with the passion of the founders,
right,
trying to do something, you know.
Yeah. You know, you guys were trailblazing. You know, there was no roadmap for what you guys were doing except for Ron Cooper, you know, Del Maguey, and he was. I mean, in the States, that's who introduced, you know, just about, you know, the idea, the idea of mezcal and several expressions. It was Ron. Ron, actually, he and I lived in the same state, so we've known each other for years. When when I lived in New Mexico,
right,
and he still lives in Taos. But you know, up until Del Maguey, we had never really, you know, and those were very limited. Only a few locations in the United States actually had those bottles, so they were very difficult to even try to taste and find out what the big deal was. So you guys did us a service by, you know, bringing more of it into the market. But I understood that the CRM was at that time very much in disarray, like it is now.
Yeah.
And so that's why, you know, I'm sure that's that. You know, now you have to learn how to get the proper labeling and, you know, all that.
Right. And believe me, like the story of Brujo, of course, is a story of passion, definitely. And I start with Luis, and I'm telling you, like, I used to go to Oaxaca. I bring the mezcal. We carry 4 floors, 20-liter cases.
Wow.
We were in my kitchen saying, okay, how are we going to filter this? And the first thing that we did is like pillows, like pillowcases. So we buy pillowcases and we bottling. That was our, you know, that was our filtration brand. So one day I said to Luis, hey, after 2 years of giving like tastings to the family, selling something that we used to call La Historia, that was the first brand, because the story that you share, because for us, it's like when you take mezcal, like I'm making story with you, you know?
Yeah.
So humans have this historical sense of, entonces when you go to Oaxaca, you start the story with the maestro. When you drink with your friends, you make story with your friends. So that's why we call it La Historia. Okay. So after 2 years, I said to Luis, hey man, this thing, it seems that works. Why we don't try to take it more seriously? So we each one invite a friend. I invite Roberto, that is still being founder. Okay. He invite Alejandro, that after 1 year, he go back to New York, so he left the project. And we sit down and we say, okay, we cannot call it La Historia because that name is basically a tequila appropriation, you know, it's like of the family. I said, there is no way you can. And I remember another trip that I did with Luis and a couple of friends that I met in the bachelor party to the desert. So we go to the desert to try peyote.
Híjole.
And that it's beautiful. It's, for me, it's one of my best natural experiences in my life. But in the desert, there is a little mountain where all the brujos, all the chamanes goes, and it's a beautiful mountain because when you are it's short mountain, but you can see the north, the east, the west, and the south. Whereas where all the shamans go every year to do their rituals, you know, to the medicine. They
Wow.
call it the medicine, the
Yeah,
hickory.
so it's sacred ground.
So I remember that trip and I said, for us, because Roberto, when we invite our friends, we take them to Oaxaca and we explain that for us, the mezcal, when it's done with respect, and when you drink it with respect, for us, it's like a inner trip.
Yeah,
You
well,
know?
it's a spiritual experience. I've
It's a
always
spiritual
said.
experience.
Yes.
So I said, what is the best like leader that can like take the project? The Brujos. So I said, why we don't call it Brujo? And we decided to put the X because Mexico and Oaxaca. So, and Brujo born like 10 or 11 years ago. I don't remember exactly, but that's the story of how everything starts. And after that, we decided that for us, if we really want that the world knows the culture of mezcal, we cannot have an espadín. We need to share all the like it's the wildness, you know, of the culture of mezcal. For us, actually, when we used to do tastings, I always said, if you want to understand the mezcal culture, you have to think in wine. For me, it's the most parallel, like the analogies is perfect. It's like, so we said, okay, we need to go again to the mountains and found all the difference that we can show to the people. And then we take like a 3 days journey, tastings, different places, different territories, different
regions,
agaves.
different hands of the makers, and
Exactly.
everything that you would classify in a wine, you guys did with mezcals from different strains of grapes, you know, that kind of thing.
So you have the famous
climates.
Exactly.
Yeah,
for me,
and different mezcaleros or different vintners, you know, because
exactly
from one winery to another, it's always. I'm sure you've been to Napa, so you know it's.
Yeah, I've been once.
Yeah, probably maybe you even have done that in France. I don't know, but I've only done Napa, and I've done actually a couple of wine tastings in the Finger Lakes area of New York State. You know, because every state. Well, also
Right.
New Mexico. New Mexico has some of the oldest wine grapes in the United States.
Wow.
They were brought by the Spanish, and a lot of people don't know that. So I get it. I get that you were trying to get a variety, a wide palette.
Right. And the easy way to share that knowledge, because if at the beginning it was difficult to really talk about mezcal. I remember perfectly that I always have to bring my bottle of mezcal to each celebration, each reunion. Today it's crazy. Today there are more mezcals than other spirits.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, we always had to take a bottle of Brujo. You have to taste it. No, don't drink it like that. No. It was super cool, man. It was in our 30s, so it was perfect. So we decided that if we put numbers and colors, it will be much more easy. The people said, okay, I like number 3. Then, because they have the number 3, and then little by little, they start reading, they said, number 3, it's a barril. What is a barril? So we have to explain. So for us, it was a mistake. We never thought it. We just decided, hey, why we don't put a numbers and colors? And later we discovered that it was the best thing to really make people understand.
I don't know if you've seen any of the reviews. You might have seen all of them, because Matt and I did. Matt, my guy in New York,
right. Is the one with the glasses?
No, Matt doesn't have glasses. Oh, yes, he does have glasses. Actually, he does. Yeah, you know, I said in one of the reviews that for anybody who's looking to see what the big deal is, what the buzz is about mezcal, because it's still being discovered in the United States, and I said, try Brujo, because to me, you know, when we were children in the States, we were given a box of Crayola crayons, and you know, they're just one. It's a small box, you know, with the primary colors.
Right.
This is the primary color. This is the Crayola crayons in all the primary colors, and at a good alcohol by volume. You know, it's just strong enough for you to get the idea, and then you decide which plant or which medley or which ensemble, whatever you had, and then branch out from there, you know, try other brands, other hands of the maker. But this should be, and I said this in the review, this should be everybody's starting point.
Right.
Because
for me,
and I didn't even know it. I didn't know it till you just mentioned it, because that's what I said, you know. And
cool.
And the funny thing is, I don't know if it's funny or not, but I'm really getting to the point in my life that there's one ingredient that distinguishes a good spirit from a bad spirit. Okay. And to me, it is an intangible. It's not an ingredient that is part. It's not part of the plant. It is the intention of either the founder, the maker, the person making it. And I think what you seem to be, to me, a very creative soul, very inspirational. You probably get this more than most people, but the missing ingredient is the intention that is placed within the liquid. And if you're open enough to that, because apparently you guys, when you went to Oaxaca, you were opened up in a way you hadn't been before.
No.
And when you open up, when you're open to the possibility, that intention, that missing ingredient that you can't put your finger on, will speak to you. And to me, that is the missing ingredient in some of the more mainstream tequilas, and now we got mainstream mezcals. You know, we got mainstream mezcals. And to me, I think people always talk about, you know, certain tequilas, or it's because of the way it's made, and they know who the maker is, and you know, and some mezcals. And I know that I lurk a lot on Reddit, because there seems to be a subculture of mezcal lovers, you know, who seek a certain plant, they seek a certain brand, and what they don't get is they think that it's about collecting and obtaining that bottle. But nobody asks the question, why do I gravitate to that particular brand and that particular particular expression? It's because there's that missing ingredient that you're feeling every time you sip that. And
that's really beautiful that you say that, man. I really appreciate, and I think I think I'm going to improve that you say that.
Okay.
To open a bottle that I want to share, something that for me represents the magic of the spirit. And I'm going to get a little emotional about.
Hey, go ahead.
Right here.
It's your show, man.
Right here, Mike.
Yes.
In my last trip to Oaxaca, I had like Adela. In my last trip to Oaxaca, I had like probably 2.5 years without going to Oaxaca because the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
I remember Cesario, one of the maestros that do the number 4. He said to me, "Hey, I'm going to get married at last. You have to come." And I was like, I don't know if I have something. I don't want to go. I don't know. I said no because of the pandemic, whatever. Right. So in that last trip, I went to visit a lot of the maestros. It was a little bit sad because like 3 of them, I think they're going to die probably this or the next year because they are old or they are ill.
Right.
And I go to visit one of my first maestro that we work. It was not Lucio, it was Taurino, but he was old. And he said, I'm not going to work with the CRM. So the friendship stays, but we will not be able to work with Bruxo with him, you know? Right. So I called him and said, are you alive, Theo? He said, yes, I am alive. So I said, I want to go to visit you. He's 80 years old.
Wow.
He cannot walk, well, he have to walk with, I don't know how you call it in English, but
crutches and canes.
Crutches, because the problem with the maestros mezcaleros is that because they carry a lot and they are really in the hot, all the legs starts like to be like, you can put it in a horse and they will fit perfectly.
Yeah, they get bow-legged, yeah.
They get bored. So he said that 1 year ago, Tomasa, his wife, dead, but he was. And then I said, okay, but at the end, you're always having mezcal with them, you know. So he
Yeah.
opened the special room. I call it always a special room, and he have like 20 liters in the glass container,
Right,
you know,
right.
and in the other one. So I always buy a couple of liters because they're special for me, and I taste that one there, and it was delicious. And I said, Theo, what about this mezcal? And he said, I have 20 liters waiting for my death. So when people came to my death celebration,
Oh,
they
wow.
have mezcal. I was like, it was really good, no? And I said, is there any way that you can sell me 1 liter of this delicious mezcal? And he said to me, Don Santiago, that doesn't sell. I will give it for you. No? I will give it free for you.
Right.
So you will have 1 liter of that mezcal. So I'm basically open that bottle to keep tasting with you, because that for me that moments represent what the spirit represents, you know.
Yeah.
At the end we will see the pictures, but the first picture that I send you is people. For me, like the magic of mezcal is the people. There is no way that you can produce artisanal or ancestral mezcal without people. It's a community process. You need more than one guy to do it, you know. You need more than one guy to cut it. It's like a celebration. And actually something that we were discovering in our journeys is that I don't know anything in the world, I don't know any spirit that you can use it or drink it when you born and when you die. And in the middle, weddings, celebrations of mezcal is present.
Yeah.
But there are towns, Mike, where, for example, when the girl is going to give birth,
Yes. Yes.
they take 1 bottle of mezcal and they put it behind the bed. So when the boy burn, they have 1 glass of mezcal for 40 days, you know, because they believe it's the way how all the inside kidneys and everything goes back. So everything has to be with mezcal. And when you die, you celebrate with mezcal, you know. So it's like, I don't know any spirit in the world that is so present in the culture, and that's beautiful.
Well, it's as prevalent to them as their corazon, or as their blood. You know, when you talk about it being in your blood, it literally is, apparently. Well, that's beautiful.
Cheers.
That's, hey, salud.
Salud.
Salud. That's amazing. Wow. See, I know that to me. Oh, I know. What type of plant did he use?
He must use espadín.
Okay.
Sometimes I was drinking an ensemble of espadín with Tobalá. I promise that I will keep at least a little one, and I will, when we meet someday, I promise I will take this special mezcal, because for me that's another rule. Mezcal is for sharing. When I used to do tasting in the time when we start Bruxo, I remember that a couple of times they invite us to these super fancy places where they have 2 waiters, you know, and I say to them, okay, today, I always ask the name because I believe you have to talk to the people for the name. So I said, okay, waiter, how's your name? My name is Santiago. Okay, your job today, Santiago, is just to have enough water, so everybody always have water. But the mezcal, you are not going to took it, because I always said, okay, one have to serve, you know, to each other. So the next one take the bottle and serve to each other,
Right.
Because the mezcal have to be shared, not have to be like I try all the time in my tasting to make them understand what is the mezcal about, you know. And you have to share it. So you have to share it. Like, you cannot keep your things to you. So I promise I will share this special.
Awesome.
I will keep one for you, man. And it's delicious. Believe me, it's delicious.
That's you know, you're actually the first mezcal brand owner that I've interviewed so far, because I have talked to several people. You know, even this particular show, Open Bar, is and initially was, you know, started in fits and starts. It's whenever I could fit in or get a hold of somebody that I've known. You know, I've been doing this this is our beginning of our 23rd year in July that we've been doing online tastings. We invented this.
Right.
We've been doing it before the pandemic happened.
Right.
That's why we never stopped, you know, and so, but when it comes to a mezcal brand owner, you're the first one, and I hope one day I can actually wrangle Ron Cooper, because he and I know each other. But you know,
you should. He's really passionate too. You should, because the documentary that I did, I interviewed him actually.
Oh yeah, I've met the guy. You know, he was when just to give you a little back history between the two of us. I lived in Albuquerque, and I started the first tequila show in the United States before it was ever being done. Okay,
that's amazing.
Unbeknownst to me, Ron Cooper was, you know, living in Taos. And what at that time distributors, especially in New Mexico, were much more willing to work, you know, with a new idea to get their portfolios out, because tequila really hadn't taken off either. We loved it, you know, but not everybody did. And so we started doing a show with one friend of mine. One of my ex-partners was a hotel manager at a historic hotel in Albuquerque, which was actually the first Hilton. A lot of people don't know Baron Hilton was from New Mexico. So the first Hilton was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And and my other partner was in radio, because I was in radio. And so the three of us decided to, let's try and put together a show. My radio friend, his soon-to-be brother-in-law, worked for Southern Wine and Spirits. And at the time, Southern Wine had the largest portfolio of tequilas in the United States. They loved the idea. So I had all kinds of support. And they said, let's get Ron Cooper down here to talk. And I said, well, where's he? He goes, he was in Taos. It's like, you're kidding. So Ron reaches out to me. He's all for it. And we've been friends ever since. And every time we come together, you know, it was so funny because Ron is this diminutive gentleman. I'm not very tall either, but see, he's in the middle of this first tasting where they're all manning their own tables. You know, Ron Cooper, I have Pepe Hermosillo from Casanoble, you know, all these founders were at my show. And it was, so, you know, I didn't know what I was doing, right? But it was very magical. And so halfway through the evening, Ron says, he hands me this bottle. It looked like a water bottle, right? A plastic water bottle. And he says, you got to taste this. And honestly, I'd never really had mezcal. I've had Gusano Rojo, which is not mezcal. That's jet fuel.
That Gusano Rojo.
Yeah. So he pours me just a little bit in the cup, in the cap, right? And so I sip it. And it's like, oh, what is this? You know, and the finish just kept going and going and going. He goes, wait till we're starting to bottle this one. And then he just screws it back down, puts it down underneath the table. He's such a cool guy. I adore Ron Cooper. And one day I'm going to actually have him on. I'll wrangle him and get him on the show. So tell me, how do you take your cinematography background and apply it to mezcal? Have you done documentaries or? Well,
yeah, a cool story is that I don't know where you can see the documentary. It's called In the Belly of the Moon.
That name is familiar. The title.
You know, let me see, because I have this application here. I never thought In the Belly. Someday, someone called me and said, hey, are you Santiago? I said, yes, we went to do a documentary. They are from Bahamas, Antoine, the director. And the funny story is that they confused Santiago, myself, with other Santiago, that is a producer. So we started like talking and said, hey, I love the way that you talk about mezcal. And I love the work that you have like photographer, you know, like DOP. So at the end, I said, no, I'm not that Santiago. So I introduced to other Santiago, but I keep him being the DOP of that documentary. So we spent like 1 month in Oaxaca. I can introduce a lot of maestros mezcaleros and another people that at the end, like my contacts, introduced to them. And I think it's a documentary with beautiful images. We spend a lot of time, like, and I think, yeah, I think it's really clear. It's a documentary with beautiful images, and it talks about really clear how the process is. In the belly of the moon. Let me see if it says. Yeah, no está. It's not in the streaming, but let me try to find the Antoine to say if it's possible to probably share with you a link if people want to download it, or because at the end you do something so the people can watch it, you know.
Sure.
And of course, you fall in love. I remember like a lot of nights, because of course you have to talk about the vampires, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So they are the ones that give us the mezcal at the end. Actually, I love this cup because have a little vampire inside.
No kidding. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And of course, we are like with a little lights because you are in the middle of nowhere because the agaves are. So I just take lights with battery, you know.
Yeah.
So I remember just drinking mezcal, all the crew that we were like 4. The crew was just 4. It's a documentary, just waiting to the little bat to just come. So one of the best sensations in your lives when you are waiting for something and that happens. And it's just like 3 seconds of a bat doing and going.
Yeah.
So it was really cool, that documentary, because it was at the same time in the Day of the Dead. We start like 4 or 5 days before, because Antoine was trying to do an analogy about the dead, like the life of the agave and the life. So I remember I was like,
of the agave. Yeah.
And I remember I was talking with Pablo, one of the maestros of Bruxo, saying, Pablo, he's from Agua del Espino. And it's like, Pablo, probably it's going to be weird that I ask you that, but by any chance, there is no one that dies recently. So you're going to do, you know, like you're going to do the hole in the cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, you need to have that.
Yeah.
And he say, she died yesterday. Tomorrow we are going to do that. And I was, Antoine, we need to go to Agua del Espino right now. And of course, ask the family if we're able to be with the camera, you know, like shooting. And I think Antoine do a really beautiful analogy about how they are making the hole and how they're smashing by hand the agave. I'm talking about that. And I remember we went with La Locura. Do you know Lalo? Do you know something about La Locura?
You mean the mezcal or?
Yeah, the mezcal calls La Locura because his name is Lalo, and the cure, you know, the name is Lalo the Cure, because he believes that the mezcal, for me, is one of my gurus. I mean, he's one of the people that I believe knows more about mezcal, and he really, it's like a Puritan about mezcal, and he do ancestral. It's amazing to talk to him. It's really beautiful to talk with Lalo.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar. I think there is a La Locura mezcal. I've not had it, but this is I'm just like, I'm in awe of all your stories, because like I say, you now, I know that the company has grown. Like I say, I had come across Bruxo when it was sent to me from the UK.
Right. That's a story super cool too.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you why did it? I don't think it was available in the United States. Why did you go to the UK first? Why did you go to England and overseas? What was that?
Okay.
How did you choose that market?
I believe that the Bruxo is the shaman. No? At the end, it's the wise man.
Yeah.
I believe there is like an entity that we call it the shaman that is taking care of us. And that's the story. That's why. Someone called us from, in that time, it was called Pro Mexico. That was something that already disappeared with this government. But they say, hey, we are going to have in Oaxaca this reunion with buyers from Europe. So do you want to go? And it was funny because 10 years ago, like the big brands, I don't know if it's good or bad, but the big brands right now are owned for people from the city, not from Oaxaca. And that's something that we can talk later, but the only ones that do that are like Alipus and Danzantes, but are the city guys that goes to live to Oaxaca.
Right.
And for Danzantes, for me, it's like one of the projects that I say, I mean, I put my hand to say that guys make all the things that we are having now. But anyway, so we are bottling. In that time, we were bottling not in my kitchen, in the garage of my grandmother.
Oh, okay.
because we grow, so we said, oh, we need to, and we develop a filter process where we put the water containers upside down, coffee filters.
Yeah.
So it was for us the best way to do it. Is was more like healthy, whatever. So I said, hey, I need to go to Oaxaca, and believe me, you know that they say that in Oaxaca even the cheese is complicated. It's like all rounded because people in Oaxaca is complicated. But when they organize, it's crazy. So that time I tried to go to Oaxaca, and there was like a lot of taxis and you cannot get into the city. And believe me, Mike, when they say you cannot get out of the city, there is no way to get in or get out. Like you want to go for a little, there was a taxi. So I was like, oh, I have to be there at 2, you know, it's already 2. So I just go to the taxi driver that it was like in the frontier, you know, and I said, probably you are not going to believe me, but in my trunk, I have bottles of mezcal from Oaxaca that I have to show to Europe buyers. Please let me get in. Like Moises, man, it was amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They didn't even check my trunk. I was like, people, I remember that like in slow motion, like people were looking at me like, is this guy really going to get into Oaxaca? You know, like I was like, people look at me and I get in and I just cross my car and they just put the cars and no one is. Wow. I get 1 hour late to that reunion with Mezcaleros. I remember we met our distributor in Europe, and that's why we were in Europe, because we don't have even the horizons in the United States. We were 3 founders with a lot of passion, with no knowledge. So we never do any sales. Well, we have to sell before. We were just trying to sell. The ex-wife of Roberto was selling, this is going to be, I mean, have you ever make a business plan? We never do a business plan. We were just trying to sell mezcal. When we will sit down and said, are we really going to get money of this one day? It's really good. And we never thought about that for 3 years, because there is no way to make money unless you have a lot of inversion, and we can talk later or about sure. what do you really need to make. So for me, that magical story is about, at the end, this buyer, and I remember perfectly people saying, why you have this sticker, this label? Actually, I don't have here the first label of Bruxo, but people always say to us, but this is like, where's the rancherito, you know, like they want to have this idea of the amigo. And we were like trying to be much more like our bottle. We love that people say that it's like, we call it botica, you know, that medicines that you can buy in the pharmacies. So we were like so happy that we will be able to share something that we keep saying, no, we don't want we don't want to listen to you. We have to be like in the way the wax in the bottle, Mike, is being like people say a pain in the ass. It's a really complicated because at the beginning, Alejandro and myself were like, oh, the wax just broken. Oh, the wax is a complicated. How is the mix between bee wax and candle wax? So we were making these experiments so we can get a wax at the beginning. In the cases when we really start selling like to the supermarkets and things, they're saying, hey, all the wax is broken. So we have to go and change the wax. But at the end, the wax have a meaning for us. Like each person in the world is different. So when you do the waxing, the way of the weather, whatever, the wax always is going to be different. Each bottle is going to be different.
Yeah.
Probably you are not going to notice, but it's part of the philosophy of the brand. You know, we are uniqueness. Each bottle have to be something that is uniqueness. Even now that we have a machine that do the process, the last place where the bottle gets in is by hand. And I fight and I said, there are things that we cannot change. And for example, the wax is one of the main things that must keep in Bruxo. Probably the label will have to change a little bit because we discovered that the agave, for example, it's the story of the agave is beautiful because of course we were starting at the beginning, the agave we downloaded from internet, you know, so we put brew agave XO, you know, and there's like this French guy in Mexico that said, hey, I'm going to do a installation of my art. Do you want to sponsor? And as we said, of course, you know, we can sponsor it, giving some bottles. And he just do in the computer this agave. No, he said, can I change the agave and like redoing it? And we said, of course. So at the end, the agave brujo is done for this French artist. I don't even remember the name. He said, these guys just downloaded from the internet. It's shit, you know?
Yeah.
So he basically redo the agave. And we say, we want to be in the future like Timberland. You see the tree of Timberland, and it's a fact.
Yeah, yeah.
So in the future, we want that if you see the agave of Brujo, people like hopefully understand or feel the power of the spirit of Mezcal. So of course, when we partner with Agave Capital, after 4 years of being by ourselves, a company that is starting to try to sell Mezcal, again, the power of the entity of the Brujo, our wives, our partners were saying, we don't want to have you anymore in our house. You have to find the office. So I start talking with friends. Is there any way that have a little room? I said, we don't have money. And one of my friends say, you should talk with my brother because they're trying to do something with Mezcal. So I met Lalo in that time, and Lalo says, I have 1 year with experts developing that we believe Mezcal is going to explode. And in that time, you don't know if you know that Victoria, Cartabla, how's the name? Corona was sold to
one of the bigger.
A lot of people of that company,
Constellation Brands, I think.
Constellation, a lot of people just left the company because they don't want to be part. My brother used to work actually in that company, and he loved it. He believed it was like great company. So when they sell the company, people just left. And because the future and because the power of Brujo, Lalo invite one of that people to start to say, hey, Lalo works in a company that works with tax. So one of the guys that he works that it was actually a man that already died. He has an old man to say, that's beautiful. I just realizing, but that's beautiful. Like 10 years ago, someone that used to have like 75 or 80, tell Lalo, you should start thinking on Mezcal because that is going to be a good chance to do something.
Mhm.
So Lalo said, okay, so something that have really good is that Lalo is able to bring like the correct people. So he invites people that used to do the supply chain of Grupo Modelo. O sea, Alejandro, that is the CEO right now from Agave Capital, was the guy who works 21 years in Grupo Modelo developing when you have to grow the seed to be able to satisfy the demand of the beer that you're going to put in the cellar. Of course, imagine the founders look like talking with these guys. There was like, of course, they know how to do things.
Right.
So we have the passion. They say to us, we have an investors. We know how we have to do the things. You have a brand that really like us. Why we don't meet together? You know,
yeah, it's a perfect fit.
That's why Bruxo starts to grow, and we have the chance to do this like stories about how the people feel, and we say we have to change the sticker and put much more bigger the agave, so people start to try to think. And the beautiful thing, Mike, is that we started working with this Luis Medina company, who was the guys who all the weekends, during the weekends are like doing the tastings. And a really nice story that I love to share is that it's really easy when you have money to grow something,
Yeah.
So we have this, okay, we don't have the money, even we have an investors. I mean, the spirit industry, I can tell you that I have 11 years working as DOP, investing every year.
Yeah.
Let Bruxo grow, hoping that one day everything was like super cool. But anyway, so we said how we can not fight, I don't know the word, like how we can be better and honest than the other brands. Because if you go to the retail store during the weekends, you can see a beautiful Argentinian girl selling you a brand super expensive and not honest. So we were talking with Luis, that is actually partner of the brand, and I said, people knows them because we share the spirit of the spirit. So we have to train all the people, take it to Oaxaca and show them, if you believe that this is cool, then you can talk about Bruxo during the weekends. And it's beautiful that sometimes even the other company sellers just came and listened how Gloria, for example, was talking about Mezcal. So people start buying Bruxo, not because I believe it's a really nice tasting too. I think it's a great, I don't think it's just a great project. I believe in the product, I always said, don't worry, man. People have to taste more things. At the end, they will come back to taste Bruxo too. When we were in the fairs and we have already grown, when people comes to Bruxo, I said, don't buy Bruxo. Go there and buy the rest, because you cannot buy that in the stores. They are here from the fair. Don't buy Bruxo. You can buy Bruxo in the market. Go and buy the other ones. Taste another ones. Understand the thing,
Yeah.
So all these things is being like a process to understand and to share the magic, I believe. So
wow. I'm
full of stories, man. I can tell you like,
and I know that we got about 10-15 minutes because I don't want to take up too much of your time, because we could probably break this up and do like 2 episodes,
right.
But I have another tasting in about 2 hours.
Right. But if you let me, I would love to share just the pictures and tell them why.
Yeah, I that's what I wanted to get to. So bear with me here, folks, because I'm gonna share a screen, and I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna try and do this correctly. I'm still fairly new to Zoom, so let's just share the screen. Here, what I got. Okay, So let's, I'm going to probably take them out of sequence, but
It's okay.
can you see this picture?
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
it.
okay, so this gentleman here, and if you can see, he's got a tattoo on his back that says
Right.
Oaxaca.
I'm going to tell you why I choose this picture of the 5 pictures that I choose.
Okay.
Candido makes Brujo number 5 right now.
Yeah, which is
Tobalá.
Yeah,
Tobalá.
one of my favorites.
So my last trip to Oaxaca, because I am a cinematographer and I have this, I love to take pictures, like basically almost all the pictures that are took and we share in social, about
Yes.
Mezcal, I go and took it. So, and it's really cool
your
because I
photos,
spent
your photos are the Instagram that we see, right?
most of them.
Most of them, okay.
And because we need more, I take like 10 days, because that's another thing. If you want to pay someone to stay 10 days sleeping in the floor in the mountain, just a founder. If not, it's quite expensive, and probably another brands have that money. Brujo doesn't have it, so it's really cool that I just say, I take my camera, I take the drone with my friend.
Yeah.
So we were in this afternoon, sunrise, and I'm talking with Candido about Oaxaca, and he said to me, Candido used to work in United States a lot. He's like amazing guy. He actually doesn't drink mezcal. He everything do it by smelling and listening. Anyway,
wow.
And it's beautiful that I'm arrived and I see the truck of them with Brujo mezcal that comes. Said, where did you put that? I said, I have a friend, so I put it. So suddenly we are there. We are talking about Oaxaca, and he said, "You want to really see Oaxaca?" And he just take out the shirt, and it's like, Candido, sit there. I said to Moises, take that little light that I have and just put it there. For me, this represents the magic of the mezcal. That's why I choose this. The people that work in mezcal in Oaxaca, the really ones, they used to have a past in the United States because they have to cross the border. Today, the mezcal is a possibility that they don't do it. But really, these guys, so when I saw this, I said, I have to share this. For me, this is a sip of mezcal, a really like extremely ancestral sip of mezcal in a visual way.
Wow.
That's why I choose that. So
I love that. And I love that, you got the back window, where it has a little advertisement of Brujo Mezcal.
Right.
Yeah.
And believe me, it was a surprise that he had Brujo Mezcal, If he doesn't have in the Brujo, if you take out the Brujo, again, this is the essence of a mezcal for me. Something that happened to me with tequila is that the story of tequila is more about the owners with the hacienda, with the workers. And I remember we were in a wedding with Pablo, one of the maestros, and he introduced me like the boss. He said, I want to introduce you my boss, Santiago. And I said, never say that again. We are partners. I buy you mezcal because it's good and because for me it's cool. And you work for me because we want. I don't hire you. So we look to each other like this, not like this. Yeah. And I believe mezcal have this, and this picture represents that. It's like we partnership with the Maestros Mezcaleros, and I'm really happy to share with you that we start with Lucio, and today we are like 12 maestros that we really work like frequently, and we are 18 that when we need more mezcal, we have to say, hey, I need that you send on me. And that's why when you say about white label, we don't, if they want to sell to another people, they're open to do it. Why I'm not going to say, no, don't sell it. Actually, Lucio was the first. I don't know if Alacran keeps the same maestro, but of course, we used to sell 600 liters a year. Wow. So when Alacran, because Luis knows the Alacran, they say, hey, we want to buy 6,000 liters. We say, you should know Lucio. Yeah. If we can make that Lucio grows, why I'm not going to do it? And Lucio said to us, I make an special mezcal for Alacran and Brujo. They give us a blind taste and said, choose which one you like it. So this will be Brujo. And we tasted and we decide, I said, we like this one. I said, well, that's Brujo number one. So we keep Brujo number one.
Ah, there you go.
So this is really cool. So that's why so we cannot control that, and we don't want to control that.
That's good.
You know, why you are going to stop the growing of someone?
Yeah. Let me see what other picture.
Take and put another.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and pop these open here. There we go. Now explain this. Can you see that picture?
No, I cannot.
Okay, let me get rid of one of those. How about now?
I see you now again.
Okay, now
hello, Mike. How are you?
Hi. Let me get back into the screen sharing. Like I say, I'm learning this, folks, so bear with me. Let's go here.
Okay, this is really funny for me because people that is looking at us, Mike said, "Hey, I would love to ask you why mezcal." You know,
yeah.
And this is really funny for me because this is Luis, the other founder, the one that I met in the university. And when he sent me this picture, it's like if Yoda is looking at a bottle of mezcal with that eyes, you know, like with that, I mean, guys, why are not mezcal is the best spirit in the world. Yoda just look at them like, I need my mezcal. You know?
Okay, all right, I'll buy that. Let me get into another picture.
Yeah, go to know. I just when I saw the picture, I just thought.
Oh, okay. Let me get rid of one. All right, now how about this one? This is like a montage. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it keeps telling me. There we go. Now, that's the one. Now this is like a collage or a montage.
Yeah, this is a collage of people that works with Brujo and not with Brujo. Like, for example, the ones that are the three that says Nancy, these guys are Trejo, they are from Durango. And because I do a short film in Durango and I always said, okay, after the short film, I just need 2 more days and someone to take me to the mountains to taste. But when you said why mezcal, it's because this is Mexico. So this is mezcal. All this family, like in the right, it's Herminio with all the family.
Yeah.
You know, so all these are maestros. The 2 girls that are like family from Pipino. This is the essence. Again, I was just trying to put some pictures to show the people why we do mezcal in Brujo. So that's why everything is about people. And Jean Paul, my dog that dies, is the one that have. It's in the top, the third picture. That is. And for example, the next picture is Cesario. That's the one that I asked Cesario, please don't go to United States for the 4th time. Give me 1 year. He do number 4. And today, you can see have a wife, two sons, a house. So it's a possibility to really stay in Mexico and have a story here. You know?
That's what I was going to ask you, and I'm going to keep this picture up here. How it seems to me that you have forged these really intimate relationships with the mezcaleros that are making your line.
Yeah, for me, it's my family.
Well, they're your family. So it seems to me that you're one of the. And we hear stories in the States about whether this is really working or not. You know, is the person who is exporting and buying the mezcal from these people, are they making a decent living? Are you paying them a decent wage? And it seems, you know, Ron Cooper was very much about that. Ron was insistent that his people be taken care of. And, you know, he tells a great story about one of his mezcaleros. The son went to college, and you know what I mean? That right. He was able to pay to have this
right.
His son go to college, and you know, and whole communities have been built around some of the lines for Del Maguey. And it seems to me that right. You've been successful in doing the same, correct?
I don't have it here, but I will talk really fast. When we start knowing and selling Brujo, I have a picture that is not here.
Okay.
That I go with them, with each maestro, we sit down and we say, how much it costs the guy who helped you, how much is the wood, how much is the, so at the end, I say to them, okay, how much is the truck or the gas of the truck? I never thought about how many times a year you have to take to the garage to fix the truck. No, I never thought about how many light, how much do you pay about the light? Because to the steel, you have to be 3 days in a row. So no, I never thought about. And what happened when in the future, you don't have agave? Because no, I never thought about. So if we have another conversation, I will show you the picture that I signed, because I remember that time they sell like 30 or 35 pesos the liter. And I said, eight months later or half year later, it was going to be my birthday. I said, we are going to celebrate my birthday, paying you like 45 or like 10 pesos more, something like that.
Right.
So I think we start doing things with them like that. Like, you cannot sell me I need to pay you more. Now, these days, we are developing with Harvard students. They go to the communities and we have a project. We are trying to find the money to do it. But of course, Bruxo take care of all of the students, and Luisa, because they love the project, they came do all the analysis of how we can build a better communities.
Right.
Today with Harp Helu Foundation, we were able to, I think we're going to plant 15,000 trees. And it's really beautiful to see how when the mountain have the trees is different when they don't have. We do, and I did, because I was in charge of that. When you go to the palenques in the novel, and you are like in the middle of nowhere, like Brujo number 2, you need to shed and you need to pee.
Right.
And they don't know, they don't have anything. So we developed some dry bathrooms with them.
Yes.
And I think Mirna, that is taking care now of all the production, that I love that a woman goes each month to Oaxaca. In a machismo world, the boss, like the girl that is taking care of all the production in Brujo, it's a girl. So just imagine all these maestros mezcaleros, like in some way, giving answers to the girl. For me, it's beautiful. I love when every time all the brujas that are taking care, because we can talk later about all the women in Mezcal. That's another two.
Yes, that's a whole other conversation.
But yeah, and we have now, since 2 years ago, we have a social responsible sticker in our company.
Excellent.
So
excellent.
Yeah,
the growth of Brujo is just, it's inspiring, because let me get rid of one. Oh, look at that. Yeah, bear with me. I'm going to get rid of one picture. And now, yeah, I know. I'm going to share the screen again. I got it. I'm going to get the hang of this, folks. Trust me. Look at that.
Okay.
Is that an espadín? Look at how beautiful that is.
That's an espadín. And Pipino is like my grandfather. And he's the one that I don't know if it's going too long, one than my year, because when I saw him this time, he's really thin. It seems he's ill, but they don't know why or what. But for me, I choose this picture because for me, I just want to ask you something, Mike. When you see this guy with this light in that place, will you be happy to just be able to sit down and talk to him about life? Is something that you would love to do?
Of course.
Of course. It's like, and that's Mezcal. Mezcal is the spirit of know someone that you want to talk to him. And believe me, it's beautiful to talk to him.
It reminds me, we say a lot of things about, the redwoods in California, that they have been, they've been there over 100 years, they're older, and everything. You can only imagine what that tree has been through, what events have gone around that have happened while it was growing. And it looks to me, and I'm looking at these plants, and they're beautiful, they're huge. Beautiful. And, the plant has experienced all kinds of things. just by its growth. And
Yeah,
it seems to me that you look at this gentleman here, and you wonder that he has shared these experiences with these plants
yeah.
before we turn them into Brujo, before it turns into this. And
Yeah.
that's what I was saying to you at the beginning, right at the beginning of our conversation. That spirit of that picture that you see there translates here, and
Right.
not the label. I'm talking, the bottle. I'm talking about the liquid, and that's the missing ingredient. That is the ingredient that we seek. Those of us who love mezcal or love a particular brand, and you're not sure why, you just always gravitate to that brand. This is the reason why. It is, to me, and it's not just, it's all agave spirits now. I mean, they're getting fewer and fewer in tequila, but there's more raicillas,
Right.
of course mezcals, and there's stuff that I've had people send to me, palmilla and sotol, and I know a sotolero who's been good friends of mine, and and it's the same thing. There's this missing element, this ingredient that we seek, and it looks like he's instilling that ingredient. It's almost like you look at him, and it's like you're having a conversation, and it's a two-way conversation. The plant is conversing to him, and he is conversing with the plant. And all I want to do is be the bat on the wall to hear what the conversation has to say, because that's what it looks like to me. And that's a beautiful picture. And let me see if I can bring up one more.
Yeah, we have one more, and
I think we have one more. So bear with me, folks. I'm learning as I go along. Okay, and let me get rid of let's see, that's this one here. Okay.
and you learn about simplicity.
I'm going to share the screen. Yes, I'm going to share it. Here we go. There we go. Look at those plants.
If you see, it's like almost the same moment because Pepino's in the back.
Yeah, he's in the background.
But I choose this one because, of course, there are a lot of espadins that are grow in different places, and they're like much more probably cultivated. And one of the things that you must do is plan in advance. So we've been like planting, or how you say, sowing, or how we've been like
you're planting
so no, like
for the next 8 years or whatever.
Yeah, I think next year we are starting to be almost self-produced because we've been planting since 6 years ago.
Wow.
We have like 800,000 plants seed, it's like but we plant with all the maestros, and of course much more people. But for me, this picture, to all the people who is watching us, I just want to ask them, imagine that you are drinking the spirit of a plant that has been aged in life, at least, because these are espadins and they have barrels and cuishes.
Right.
But these espadins in this place, I mean, when you drink it, it's like, it's beautiful. It's just wise, They've been there in this place for 8 years. Of course, when you drink that, it's completely different than anything else in the world.
Yeah.
That place is beautiful. One day, hopefully, you can come with us to Oaxaca, man.
Oh, I would love it.
I mean, it's like...
Funny story, but before we sign off here, I was in conversation with a young lady that I've known for years, and she said, and she's really getting into mezcal, and she said, we were on the phone talking, she says, I just had Brujo. And I said, oh, you're going to love it, because that, and I told her all about the review and all the line and what I said. And I said, that's a great, and it wasn't even her starting point, because she had tried a few others, but she's enamored by Brujo. And I said, that's what I said to her. I said, there's that missing ingredient. There's that something there. And Santiago, you this whole hour has been magical with you, because you have really brought that feeling. And that's why I love doing these shows, because I feel that, people don't know who owns, and because, the days of you standing in front of your brand are gone, because you've expanded the line, you have other responsibilities, but you're still going out there, making it a habit. Of course, the pandemic is going to mess that up, but going out there and reinforcing these relationships that you have forged from the very beginning. And I love it that we're doing this on this kind of a format. I know it's long form, but people need to listen to that, because they're gonna now, even if they have Brujo in their home, okay, or they're gonna go out and get it. Now they're not even gonna look at it the same way. They're gonna go, let me visit number 5, or let me go back to number 1, and see if I can't, maybe while they're watching this, they can pour themselves a cup of, whatever, a pour Brujo, and try to feel the same feelings that I've been drinking coffee. I don't even need people to tell me that. But this has been a magical hour and 15 minutes. Folks, if you have not had Brujo, please do yourself a favor and get it if you can. Bear with me. Let me get into stop the sharing there. There we go. Do yourself a favor, and as I've said in the reviews, this is the Crayola crayon box of the standard 7 primary colors. These are the primary colors of what Mezcal is, and as Santiago has beautifully said, experiment. Go taste the other ones. Don't just stop here. But you'll always come back. This is like your first love. And this, I gotta tell you, Santiago, this has been so much fun. We got to do it again. We got, hopefully down the road we can do another. We could do another couple of hours, folks. But we don't want to tax anything. But this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and sharing with us, the stories behind Brujo, because this is, it's like you said, the story of Mezcal and the story of Brujo is story. Maybe you'll have a Brujo number 8 that says La Historia. I don't know.
That can be cool, like a special edition. A
special edition, yeah. Because you're definitely the heartbeat of this brand, and it's gratifying to see where you guys have grown organically. Like you say, even without a business plan, to begin with. I'm sure you have one now. But, and hopefully you and your partners maintain the love and the passion that started this whole thing, because don't whatever you do, don't lose that, because it translates. I get it. And I'm sure that there are people who have been watching this and who've had Brujo. If you're watching us on YouTube or wherever else, or Spotify, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think.
I would love to. Or questions, or can I just say this, the last thing to close?
Sure, absolutely.
Is like you say that hopefully you keep. It's funny because when we partner with these guys, they look like business. Today, it's really cool that they understand the philosophy. And I'm really happy to share that even that today we partner with Bim Suntory. I don't know if we are going to keep with them or not.
Right.
But when do the training to them, I can say that they say, we love to be part of the brand, that they are unique and that story in the back. So even the investors will just think on money. They are now converted because they understood, and it's really cool how they, at the beginning, join us to say, okay, we want to explore this. And today they are like, no, we have to be clear that the philosophy of Brujo is this. And today it's like I say, people think that when we grow, we probably can not control or destroy the artisanal part. And it's not. Today, we are more maestros mezcaleros, and even we are building the palenque. That palenque is to have a backup, because now I can understand. At the beginning, I was like, no, 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 no. Everything have to be Lucio. No, today, Brujo #1 is produced for Lázaro and I forgot the two names because I just met them.
Right.
And it's the recipe that we were able to extract and say, Lucio, do that. So when we grow, families grow too. And we have a palenque that probably is going to start working in 3 or 4 months, that we know that it's a backup instead, because people dies, you know, because I can, as a Pipin is going to die probably this year. So Cesario now is doing #4. And if Cesario is not here today, because we have someone that thinks on company, we know how they produce. So we are today, we are the recipes of these guys. And it's really beautiful when you talk with the family of Lucio, and it's like, yes, well, of course, the son and the grandson of Lucio is producing Brujo too.
Of course.
But it's really cool when they say, today, Lucio is going to be known in the world, because I can say that we are probably, anything is sure in this life, we are the brand that really shows the maestros, and the important ones are the maestros. And that is really cool for me. And that's difficult too, because there are people that goes because they know who they are, and they say, hey, why you don't come with me? I can pay you more. And they keep with us. So I think we are doing the things in the right way. And hopefully we grow and everything grows. And I don't know, I'm just in love with this.
Yeah, apparently so.
Anyway,
Santiago,
thank you very much.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you for giving me your time and your stories. Thank you for sharing those with us. Folks, you have been watching and listening to a special edition of Open Bar with one of the founders of Brujo Mezcal. Again, I can't say enough about the brand. Go get yourself a bottle of any number. Just pick a number. Pick your favorite number. 5 happens to be mine. Actually, 5 is a life path number for me. Anyway, but and you know, and if you're watching us, please leave us a comment, give us a like on the video. Hey, subscribe, because we got a lot more of these folks who are spending time with us on Open Bar. And whatever you do, tomar sabiamente. Thank you, Santiago, for being here with us. I so appreciate it. And we will see you soon.